Here we go.
Fantastic. So good evening, everyone. Excited to kick off the July Core Foundation Board meeting for a variety of reasons. One, we've got a lot of good news to share, and two, the landscape. In other words, being able to see everybody on the call today always warms my heart. I know there's a lot of emails that go back and forth, but to get time like this opportunity together is fantastic. Has James joined yet, Mary?
I haven't seen him yet. I believe Tara's texting him now.
Okay, so I'm gonna
He tested earlier.
Okay, so I'm gonna hold off on that introduction, and we will welcome. I got some news for you as soon as he joins. But in the meantime, first of all, I apologize. The agenda, getting you the minutes and the agenda and the financials is all on me. My goal before we finish this year is to get this to you in plenty of time for you to read the agenda and the minutes. Is there anything that anyone was hoping to see on the agenda when you look at the screen right now? Is there anything that anyone was hoping to see that's not on there that you would like to add or discuss? Fantastic, because you can see it is a packed agenda. That being said, if there's something you want to be sure gets on a future agenda for our October meeting, don't hesitate to let us know. And if there's something more pressing, we can always get together. In addition, can everyone just kind of quickly open the minutes that Mary sent earlier today? And if there's not a ton in there, if there's anything in there that strikes someone as that they would prefer we wait before we approve? If not, if I could get a motion to approve those minutes, I would appreciate it.
Motion to move.
Thanks, Gina. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Brad. And again, I don't want to rush folks through. If you want to take a minute to look through and maybe use the reaction buttons in the bottom to give me a thumbs up once you've done reading and you're okay with everything. We'll call the vote. All right. All in favor of approving the minutes? Any amendments? Anything anyone wanted to add or change, or and just give all in favor of approving the minutes? Aye.
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 Opposed? There we go. Look at that. Nice. All right. Excellent.
And James is on. Ooh.
Hey, so before I close out my opening comments, it is my great pleasure to introduce everyone to the Core Foundation's newest board member. James comes to us after a long career in the community of helping youth and youth sports and others, and he's recently joined an organization that is very focused on community philanthropy. James was a very generous donor to our golf tournament and to the Core Foundation, contributing almost $10,000 in resources and funds to help the foundation go forward. And while that is not a requirement, right, I don't mean to add that to his introduction to say that that's how you get on the board of the Core Foundation. At the same time, we're very grateful for that, and it's more his interest in elevating what his organization does and what he does in the community. So please join me. And James, I don't know if you want to say anything. I know you just joined us. Do you want to say anything to the other board members on the phone right now?
Thank you, Doug. I've got a house full of kids downstairs, so I'll keep myself on mute as much as I can. But I'm honored to be part of the group, and I'm just really looking forward to diving in and helping out and making a difference.
Excellent. Well, welcome aboard, and we're very excited to have you. And if you have any interest in officer positions for 2022, don't hesitate to let Gina, Ted, and myself know. All right. With that, as you can see on the agenda, we've got a packed agenda. I'm going to try to keep everyone on track as far as time goes, but I do want this to be interactive. So please feel free to use the chat function, or don't feel like we're rushing through anything. If you've got a question, or if you want us to pause and talk about anything, I want you to feel the comfort to to reach out. As a reminder, this call is also recorded. So just keep that in the back of your mind. So with that, I'm going to now turn it over to our executive director, Tara, to talk about our new core causes.
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited to share this slide with you. If you recall, in our last meeting, we talked about how both the quantity and the quality is increasing with the core cause leads that we have coming in. So since our last call, we have onboarded 4 core causes, and we've got 1 that we have a verbal from. So we went ahead and put them on the slide because we've been communicating with them for some time. So I'll just quickly share with you some of the new causes that we have coming in. The first is reel-to-reel experiences. They're based here in Reston, and they help children grow and learn through experiences that they wouldn't have otherwise. They target needy kids, and they also target sports type experiences, but not necessarily limiting to sports. It could be STEM and other aspects as well. They also just come with just a wealth of energy and excitement, and we're just super, super excited to have them on board on the core cause team. The second core cause on the list is therapeutic build, and they're actually our first core cause in California. So that was really exciting for Mary and I to onboard them. I actually was in California in Los Angeles last week, and I was so close to getting to connect with them, but the stars didn't quite align on our schedules. So hopefully next time. But nonetheless, they provide woodworking crafts and kits to kids and adults, and they call it specialized populations, and all generations and abilities, one build at a time. So they specifically also target, handicapped individuals, could be, blind, deaf individuals, but they believe in the power of woodworking and healing. So they've got a really interesting message. Again, great group of people. 3T Institute is a really interesting core cause that came to us actually through a networking event with the Reston Chamber. 3T Institute is actually a corporation, and what they do is they do IT training. And Majuba is the CEO of the 3T Institute, and she wanted to create a philanthropic arm of their organization without jumping through the hoops of becoming a 501c3. So we were able to hop right in. We literally onboarded her in like a week. It was awesome. They had a ribbon cutting, and we were there along with a lot of chamber members. And I'll tell you, it really opened our eyes to the power of that sort of model, since they were our first corporation to have a 501c3 component. So as you're doing your networking and your day-to-day chats with friends, keep that in mind, because there's so many small to medium-sized businesses out in our area that this is being a core cause is a perfect fit for. We take the administrative hassle out of their mission and allow them to have a philanthropic arm that ties right into their corporate responsibility with their employees. So I'll look for good and great things to come from them in the coming year. View of Lights is also a really interesting core cause, because they were our first 501c3 that came to us that wanted to be a core cause. And I'll have to say, when they first put in their core cause application, Mary and I said, why would another core cause, or why would another 501c3 want to come to core to be a core cause? So we put our heads together and we're like, all right, we're really onto something here too. So in this model, we're really almost providing that nonprofit consulting. They want to be part of a community and part of a team. And, Mary's done some great things with their social media already. And so this is just a really another interesting kind of model in the core cause arena. So super excited to have them. They're also out of Massachusetts. So it's our first core cause in Massachusetts as well. And internationally. So their mission is to bring light to Liberia, West Africa, which is where the core cause leader is from, as well as locally in Everett, Massachusetts. And then the last new core cause that we have is Books and Bikes for Africa. This is a Girl Scout who took on as one of her projects for her awards to create a book and bike program for Africa. She actually just went to Africa, just came back. So we'll be onboarding that core cause. And she's just a sweetheart, a ball of energy. And their mission is to seek to eradicate poverty, one book and one bike at a time. So those are our new core causes that we have. Mary's going to go through our funnel. We've got a really nice funnel as well of new causes coming in, and it's with some big budgets, which is prompting some of our insurance and our topic discussions tonight. But does anybody have any questions on this slide? Okay, great. All right. Well, we will go to the next slide, which is our golf classic. And two things about this slide. On our last call, we also talked about the importance of building our partnership program. And you're going to hear me talk about that here in a little bit. But step one in building that partnership program was creating this new event, which gave us a conversation starter with 13 new corporate partners. So Ted is going to be reporting on this, and you'll see some of the other board members starting to report on their kind of expertise areas. But for now, I'm going to turn it over to Ted. Ted needs to come off mute.
Sorry about that. Zoom, Google Meets, Blue Jeans is one we use. The mute button's on a different spot. Anyway, thanks, Tara. So the golf event was great. It was put together primarily by Mark Moody and JB and put together really quickly, which was very impressive. So we had a great time, great day, raised a lot of money, as you see, but I think with a little more planning, we can be even bigger and better. And I think it gave us an opportunity. Not only did it give us an opportunity to network with different corporate partners, but it gave Doug an opportunity to talk about the mission. He was out on one of the tee boxes, got to meet with all the players. And I played in a lot of these things. And afterwards I came in and I asked a lot of people and they had a lot of fun. So I think just overall it was great. Having Brian Mitchell there added kind of a, I don't know, air of celebrity and an interesting thing you don't always get when you play in these. So besides the golf, which was a lot of fun, there was just a lot of other good things going on. And I think with some planning and a little more time, that there's a huge potential for growth and exposure to even more sponsors and donors and even other causes. So overall, great day.
Thanks, Ted. And Ted's been, see, he played a big role in this as well, as did others. And so this event, again, you know, as we're growing, the foundation needs some dedicated events to raise funds. In other words, we have to move beyond our model of our only revenue stream is 10% of the revenue raised by core causes. And other than the gala and some support from the rest and sprint, there aren't many other, some of the other events, there aren't many like this. And to have accomplished what this event accomplished this year, I think is incredible. And the ancillary benefit to us, and you already heard Tara, I think, talk about it, is that it created awareness amongst a group of folks that they are at a stage where they want to do more of this. They want to help the community. And so I think that aspect of it, not just the dollars raised, but the ability to get more word out has really, in my mind, solidified this event as an annual event. So congratulations to you too, Ted, as well as to the team that was helping you put this. And Tara, I know you worked, Tara, you know, even though she has a committee to do these, ends up doing a ton of work right before she went out. So thank you, Tara, too, and Mary as well. All three. I hope I didn't miss anybody that was involved in the tournament, but thank you very much for making that happen.
Hey, you're welcome.
Great job.
All right, could I just add really quickly to that, and Mary will get to this on her slide a little bit later. It looks like we very well may have found our largest core cause from that event, which is really exciting. All right, Brett, this is your slide.
All right. So we have 3 outreach events going on right now. The first one is Superheroes Unite, which is a modified COVID-friendly version of the Splash and Dash, Superhero Splash and Dash. So we're working with 4 shelters and the Laurel Learning Center, and we are recruiting kids that are, we have a scholarship branch of the Splash and Dash and a paid Splash and Dash entry. And so we're working with the shelters in Laurel, and we're expecting to have about 50 kids. We've already registered 16, and that was just one marketing outreach approach. So we're expecting about 50 kids, and it's going to be between August 1st and August 30th. We're really excited because this year we're adding a pool part of the Splash and Dash, so the kids can join us at the YMCA on August 22nd. It's a Sunday at 3 p.m. So from 3 to 4:30, we've reserved the pool at no cost to us, and they're allowing us to have these kids that have to be transported there and chaperoned while they're there, but we'll provide some snacks. And then for those kids that can't make it on the pool day, we're going to be dropping off their bags and doing a fun little dress up. Tara's like the queen of dressing up for the superhero splash and dash. So we'll dress up and make it a really fun event for the kids that are in the shelters and Laurel Learning Center. The next thing we have going on is with Movement Mortgage. So we want to give a huge shout out to James for helping this awesome idea and this awesome project. So I'm not really sure 100% the background, but I think it's that James and Tara talked about how Movement Mortgage can support the community. They've been working with Daymaker in the past. And so we have this awesome opportunity where Movement Mortgage will purchase back to school kits for kids that are in need. We have worked with Daymaker and we've set up profiles for these kids. We already have 9 in the system and we're expecting about 20. It's a very short, very quick turnover because school starts so early this year. So in 1 month, this is going to be all complete. And so we have 9 kids already. We think we'll get closer to 20, maybe 30 kids. And through this Daymaker software, the employees from Movement Mortgage can come in and purchase back to school items and also personalized items for the kids. So for instance, I have the profiles right here. The kids talk about what they want to be when they're older, what they want to change in the world, who their most special person is to them. And then I make the profile based on these that kind of pull at the heartstrings and appeal to these employees who then want to give back. So it's very personalized to what the kids want. And it's just super awesome that we have this opportunity. So thanks so much, James, for connecting those dots for us. And then the last outreach is grants. So we've applied to about 15 grants in total. Quite a few of those are Walmart grants. So the Walmart grant program allows you to apply to each store individually. So we applied to all of the Walmarts in Northern Virginia. It also includes Wawa, Cliff Bar, Finish Line, which we unfortunately heard from, and we didn't get that grant this year, but there's always next year. And so we're applying for both the Superheroes Unite program and also our incubator program, which Mary, Tara, and I are working hard to fine tune it and put a spin on it that makes us look unique. Because one thing that I learned about grants is that they want to find and support something that's unique. So we're working on that, just that spin on it, and fingers crossed that some of that money will come through.
Fantastic,
Awesome. You're doing
Brett.
Thank you.
And just a quick shout out, and Brett, I know you've got folks helping you, but trivia question: how many grants did we apply for last year?
One.
One, right, Tara? Just the
Mhm.
USAT. I mean, think about what Brett's done here. In other words, and this again, as we talk about creating a scalable and sustainable foundation, we have to identify other sources and resources. And from day one, actually day -10, probably, Brett, right? I think you were helping us on a grant before you even became a director. Brett brought her leadership skills and her knowledge of this space to help us. So just a real big shout out there. And I wanted to also mention on the superheroes, as board members, I wish you could see everything that we see. And one of the things that's fascinating about community outreach in the athletic arena is we are absolutely seeing athletic events and these types of outreach things improve self-confidence amongst these young people. And not everyone can be a baseball star, a football star, not everyone can go out and do these things and compete at a high level, but our events aren't framed that way. Our events, like the Superheroes Unite, they're just accomplishing a task, and they have a support infrastructure around, and they're provided the fee, the shoes, all of the things that they would normally do that sometimes keeps them out of these events. And the supporters of these children often come back to us and just tell how their demeanor changes when they've participated in one of these. So I'm grateful to your group Brett, Tara, and Mary for continuing to make these types of things happen.
All right, just to quickly add to Brett's slide, the Movement Mortgage Daymaker program will continue on. So it's not just a one-time opportunity. There'll be wish lists during the holidays, and then they continue on throughout the year. So it's an ongoing relationship. Once we have that bank of 20 kids, we'll continue to build on that. We're hoping to build up to 80 to 100 by 2022. So just wanted to add that. Thank you, Brett. That was amazing. Great job. All right, Giving Gala. So this is now we've got the golf tournament behind us. So we're moving right along here into the core Giving Gala and Community Heroes Awards program. And as Doug mentioned, with our marquee events moving into 2022, it will be the golf tournament and the Giving Gala. And what my hope is that between those two events, perhaps by 2023, we'll be able to fund most of our operating budget on those two events. And I really believe that we can do that. And we do that through gathering partners and sponsors. And I'll get to that in the next slide. But right now we're going to talk a little bit about the Giving Gala. We have the Reston Community Center booked on November 13th. So be sure to mark your calendars. We will have it'll be a cocktail style event. It will not be sit down. We want people mingling, talking. I feel like people are craving that opportunity, and we're going to create a really nice experience for them. We'll have a mix of perhaps a little live music and DJ kind of music, and then we'll have about an hour or so for our Hero Awards. Brian Mitchell has agreed to come, and so we'll be speaking with him a bit more. Perhaps he'll be helping with some of the Hero Awards kinds of things, which could be great. But he did commit to James and I that he would be there. So we're super excited about that. In the very short term, we'll be pulling together the committee. I have a lot of commitments from individuals who want to be part of the committee. So I'm looking to start those meetings next week. And if you know of anybody that would be a good fit, we still don't have one person that stepped up and said, I want to be the person that's going to chair this committee. So until that happens, I will definitely, fill that role. But I'm hoping very soon that some leaders emerge to help kind of parlay the work and divide up the work. We're going to split up the committee into 4 groups. So it will be the raffle committee, the experience committee, which would include the food, the drinks, etc., the partners, and then the Hero Awards. So if you know of anybody that would be a good fit for any of those, please send them my way as soon as possible. Again, we need gala sponsors, and the sponsor package will be out next week. It will include a VIP experience for the reception and just a really nice evening for everyone, but it'll be a bit more VIP for all of the gala sponsors. We'll be looking for food and beverage donations. So if you know anyone that owns a local business, local restaurant, we would like to talk to them and see if they could possibly do a donation. And then we're looking obviously for silent auction and raffle donations as well. So key dates, next week, we'll release the sponsor packages. We've already started a little bit of a trickle and a tease of social media. We're going to start running the 2021 Heroes again, and that will get some excitement going for the hero nominations. We're going to open those on the 6th and then put the tickets on sale right before the Reston Sprint Triathlon, because I think that we'll have an audience there that we'll lose if we don't advertise before the 15th of August, which is the Reston Sprint Triathlon. Any questions on this slide? Any comments? Any ideas?
Tara, can you remind me what the expectations are for a chair of one of this kind of event? So if we're to try and look for ideas of people, like what are they committing to financially as well as time?
Sure. So I would say no one is committing to anything financially. That would definitely not be the expectation. The expectation would be, and I'll have, even if we were able to get a chairman this year, I will still have a heavy hand in it in terms of managing the budget, in how our processes work and those kinds of things. So if we get a gala chair, I would say hopefully it's a 2-year commitment, because it's a lot of time of mentoring, and then they can mentor the next person, if you will. I sent out a description after the last meeting, Mary. Let's make sure we put that in the email that follows the call today. But I think we need to probably add to that, in addition to the gala chairman, to answer Cheryl's question, sort of the 4 different chairmen silos, but they would be basically in charge of organizing the raffle and the auction items. I mean, I'll be honest with you, we already probably have 25 auction items. So it's all of these jobs are not starting from scratch. We already have a couple of restaurants that I know will donate. They just need to call them. You know, same with sponsors. So I've already pulled onto the committee. So Northwest Federal Credit Union was one of our new sponsors for the golf tournament. So the community partner relations individual is going to be on the committee. So those are the kinds of people that would be great to bring on new to the committee, or people that are affiliated with a corporation that we know a sponsorship will likely come with it. If that makes sense. Not necessary, of course. Some people are just very well connected in the community. It would be great on the raffle committee, for example. But like on the sponsor committee, we want people who are affiliated with other corporations. That's just a natural fit, or heavy duty in the chamber kind of thing.
Thanks.
And then I think we have the hero awards covered. We've got a couple of core cause leaders who won in the past. So the natural fit for to take care of the hero awards component, meaning choosing the winners and helping to create the presentation for the evening for that, would be people that have won that in the past. So I feel like that one's covered. It's the sponsorship, the experience of the evening, which would be the food and drink, and then the auction and raffle area that we just need somebody to chair and then disseminate out. And we probably have about 10 people that have already stepped forward and said they want to be part of the committee. So committee members aren't the problem. It's just getting someone to lead each group, if you will, and then just coming back in a small leadership group to bring everything together.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking. All right, any other questions? Okay, so this leads me right into partnerships. So I use the Jackson Clinics here as an example. They actually have agreed to give us for the first time a monetary donation. So I think a lot of this is just making the ask. It's reaching out, saying, here's who we are and what we do. Would you like to be part of what we're doing? And what we're finding is when we actually make the ask, people are saying yes. So my biggest ask today of the board, it was the same ask that I had on the last meeting, is help us facilitate those meetings with leaders in the community where we can just have that conversation. I think people are looking for a sense of belonging right now. They're looking for new charities, and they're looking for charities that are really making a difference in the community. And if you can help us get an audience with the right person in the right company, I strongly believe that those are going to turn into great partners. And the golf tournament's a great example. We had 13 new partners, which is unbelievable. And one of those, quite frankly, is Glory Days. Glory Days has been a sponsor of ours for years. And to my knowledge, other than doing like a dining around, Doug, I don't think they've ever actually written us a check. I might be wrong, but.
No, that's right.
So this is, again, partnerships. We're looking for help here in terms of helping making those introductions and then turning those into sponsor dollars for our operating budget, as you'll see when we get to that section. That's definitely something that we need to keep working on.
Excellent. Great job there, Tara. And can I add that, especially, James is your first meeting, but, our mission is to help others be the change they want to be, right? Including corporations. And one of the things that Tara and Mary and I have learned over the past few years is it's not just about giving them a vehicle by which they can donate money that does good work. It's giving them an opportunity to either rally their leadership team or their employees to get together to volunteer and to do good work without the hassle of running everything through their company, right? Or do that way. So for example, you think about the Sprint Tri, we've got partners that are bringing employees to manage a bike station or a bike stop, or we've got employees like the Jackson Clinics that loves the fact that they can pick and choose the types of causes across. So it's not everybody working for veterans or everybody working for young kids, that their employees can have a variety of different meaningful core causes that they may want to volunteer for. So keep that in the back of your mind too, as you're talking, especially to business leaders or executives, that we also provide them an opportunity to give their volunteer hours together, as a group to core causes.
All right, thanks, Ted. So that concludes my piece of the presentation here. Mary, I'm not sure what comes next.
I come next.
Oh, yay. Okay. I'll turn it over to Mary then.
Okay, so since at the last board meeting, we let you know that we were having a problem with the insurance in the fact that we got a non-renew notice for our business liability insurance that is due the first week of January. And thank you, Tom. Tom Tufts is on the call tonight. In a few minutes, he's going to speak to that and take a deeper dive. But since that last board meeting, Tara and I have done a little research, and we have found that there is another fiscal sponsor model, the Model L, which will help us. It's there to facilitate larger charitable projects by registering them as a subsidiary LLCs of Core Foundation. It is basically business as usual as to our regular Model A, with the exception of them being the LLC instead of a DBA, a doing business as, and they have their own insurance policy. So we've taken a look at that, and we have got a couple in the pipeline and one that is ready to be onboarded, which I'll tell you about here in just a second. And it looks like this might work out well for us. I know that I've reached out to Joey Musmar, who is also on here. He's going to talk to us about our Form 990, but he's also going to make a comment or two, I believe, about the Model L. I talked to Tom Tufts about it. I've also talked to the attorney who takes care of our corporate recording annually. So I believe that we're all set to move forward on that. This is a graphic that this is part of Jennifer's not here tonight, but I know on the replay she'll appreciate it. This is one of the graphics they set up in the new branding, but it basically shows you all the different areas that CORE is involved, what our mission is, and what model that would be, whether it's Model A, Model L, an internal direct project. And sometimes we would start out with a Model A and transition to a Model L.
We take a quick break, Mary.
Sure.
And I know you're going to get into the fiscally sponsored projects, but this is a material add-on, right, to what we're doing. And so I want every director to make sure that any question you've got in your head, that you understand why we're doing this, what this means for us. When we started this, our primary core causes raised money. They did a 5K, they did a triathlon, they built a monument, they went fishing with veterans, and very popular. Primarily just due to people hearing about the good work we're doing and wanting to do things. And I would say COVID accelerated some of this. We had a critical need for building desks or providing desks for young students that were now working at home. And for many of our young students, they were in situations where it was not conducive for learning. I think I shared with you the story that they're sitting on a toilet and their laptop is on the base because that's the only place that they had where they could sit and have their laptop up. We immediately embraced it. We immediately supported that, and thousands of desks were made. And again, you cannot talk about the impact it may have had on their learning. At the same time, it elevated us to a new level, and where there's a lot more going on rather than just running a race. You're working with wood. Some core causes are working with saws. Now you're working with children in some cases when you think about the tutoring. And so the Model L provides us a separate category for a core cause that comes to Mary and Tara. And through their analysis, along with support from Tom and other folks involved in the risk management, would say, upon approval, we can take you on, but you'll be a Model L. It's not going to prohibit us from bringing on more Model A's. It's not going to prohibit the Model A's that we have right now, but allow us to create a category that then they do not impact some of the insurance issues that they're on their own for the insurance, and they have to factor those costs into their business model. Any questions on that?
Yeah. Hey, Doug, this is Ted. So it's our insurance provider who makes that call based on the type of cause that they are or what they do. Is that solely how that works?
It's an excellent question. I don't know if we've gotten to the determinant yet. Mary, do you want to handle that, or Tom, or someone else want to on what's going to decide, who's going to decide if we're going to bring them on as an L or an A?
Well, I can touch on that a little bit, Doug. I would you guys may have some internal conversations about that and other aspects, but I would think that if the insurance carriers decide that under the core foundation policy they're unable to insure you, in my mind, it almost automatically has to push that group to the Model L. So that they can get a separate policy. There might be some other things that you have internally that you come up with, but that would probably be an automatic driver of that, I think.
Okay.
So Tom, just so I understand that, we bring aboard a cause, we provide the information about their cause and their business to our insurance provider, and that person decides that, yes, whatever it is they do falls under your existing coverage and we're good, or no, this is outside what you're currently getting. We probably need them to get their own policy and become a Model L. Is that
correct?
okay. All right.
And Ted, so internally, Tom has been so good to coach Tara and I on what to expect as far as when we bring on a new core cause and what the insurance provider might say about it. When we brought on the gentleman in Iowa who made so many desks, Tom told me a story because he was, I believe, woodworking in his family and did woodworking in college, and asked me if I'd ever heard of the High Four Club. And I didn't know what he meant at first, right? So then, for example, when the one that's waiting to be registered as a LLC, the Cottywomple Careers here, she said, the lady who's doing that said that she has been accepted by a school board to provide a curriculum that prepares high school students to know more about careers in medical field. So with Tom's coaching, I have this little voice in the background saying, oh, you're going to work one-on-one with children. Okay, whoa, stop, right? So I pitched her the Model L and told her that not only would there be like the molestation and abuse type coverage that would be additional, that she would have to pay for, but there would also be like professional liability because she's teaching, and these are in addition to what we normally offer for insurance, and that I would expect that her insurance may run $3,000 to $4,000 a year as a premium. So when she came back and said she was ready to pay the $500 onboarding fee, she said, oh, by the way, and I have $4,000 set aside to pay for the insurance premium. So that has like pretty much been the response so far. We've talked to a huge possible new project, Make 8 Great, where this group wants to put an enrichment center with a focus on literacy in Ward 8 of Washington, D.C. It's going to be a huge endeavor and definitely something way outside of what our insurance would provide for. Then it was very interesting. We had a family foundation, a new startup, the McEntee Family Foundation, who is shopping for a fiscal sponsor. And I would think, without talking to Tom, that they probably also would need to be a Model L. And then we had the Redemption Church Food Pantry, who is another very large project. They're from Chester, Virginia, who needs to separate from the church and become their own 501c3. But they are a food bank with, they do perishable items. So again, with Tom talking over, his little voice in my ear, you've got perishable items here, that is an insurance liability. So thank you, Tom, for all the coaching, because in the beginning it wasn't something we really even thought about. We were just like helping people do their job, but it's being received very well. you know, the Model L concept. And I'm surprised that even the Redemption Church Food Pantry had already studied about the different types of fiscal projects. And he even said, well, I don't know Model L, I know Model A and Model C, you know. So we're having a very educated group of potential clients coming to us, and they understand that this is a program that we need to instill.
Excellent.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you so much, Mary.
Yeah, that's terrific, Mary. Thank you.
And
So
and
what-
just a quick
No, finish up,
homeless
Mary.
cares. Let me just say that they feed people breakfast burritos on Sundays, take them to the YMCA for a bath, and now want to start doing their laundry. So, you know, we can all see that there's, you know, potential liability there too.
Sure. Thanks. And because this is, you know, material adding on to the foundation, I do want the board to vote on whether or not you feel this is a direction we should go, and to be able to accommodate some of these core causes that absolutely are doing great work, but we just can't take the risk. We just can't keep them in our Model A framework, and that we should create this framework to allow folks like the ones on this page to be able to do good work in the community. So can anyone give me the motion on the floor? I'll make the motion that we add the Model L to our portfolio offering for new core causes, which will allow them to be on their own for insurance purposes, and allow us to continue our policy under the Model A. I'll make the first motion. Is there someone that could second that for us?
I second it.
All right. Someone
Who
on
was
the
that?
board? Someone on the
Cheryl.
board? Is that Gina?
It wasn't me.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
second,
excellent.
sorry,
Thank you.
second, I was second, sorry, I was on mute. Yep,
No,
that makes
discussion?
sense. Mhm.
Discussion? Any further questions? And just give me is there a thumbs down? Just give me a thumbs up for an aye vote. And I want everyone to feel comfortable if they want to. I guess there is no thumbs down. So give me a thumbs up for an aye vote. And if we don't see a thumbs up, I'll take that as a nay. All right, next one, two. All right. We have, I think it's unanimous today. Is that incorrect? Is anyone that's listening? All right, fantastic. So motion carries that we will now at Model L. And a big shout out, not only to Mary and Tara for all of the background work to make this happen, but Tom, how long have you been with us? Giving us advice on the insurance? It's been 10
boy,
years.
I think about 5 or 6 years now.
I think you'd be shocked if I told you I'm pretty confident it's more than that.
It's more than that.
Tom's
I don't
been
know.
with us since we were early on.
It's
And
been time's been flying.
Yeah, just grateful to your support protecting us these years for potential liability. So really appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And it's you know, I hope none of you think that I'm a boring guy, always telling Mary no, but
Well, let me just say we've had no
better. I know it lets
losses.
Brian sleep better at night.
Okay, well, I think Joey's on the, Joey, are you still on the call? Joey
I'm right
Musmeyer?
here, Mary. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Hey, Doug. Can you, Mary, delegate authority for me to share my screen if possible?
Oh,
Go ahead and make
yes.
me like a co-host or something.
Yes, I should have already done that. Let me stop the
All right.
share, my share, and bring you in. Hold on. Joey, you should be able to share now.
Yes, I can. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so there's the tax return, but Doug, if it's okay, I just wanted to go through and give you guys some highlights on the Model L plan, if that's
That'd be
okay.
great. Yep, that'd be great.
All right, so what we did is we put in a white paper, and I can send this to you guys through email, of what the Model L looks like. It's not a really complicated concept, but it is becoming now mainstream and acceptable. And what you have is Core Foundation would create what's known as a single member LLC, which is a disregarded legal entity for tax purposes. And this entity would go through and be wholly owned by Core Foundation. So it would need, and Mary's going to like this, it needs its own separate accounting, but for tax purposes will still be bundled into the 990 form. So there is no tax filing because it's called the disregarded legal entity. And what this gives you the ability is just like what you've been hearing, is to be able to separate hopefully the liability and keep Core Foundation on its own and have this new entity, which we call the Project Single Member LLC or SMLLC, be in place. And as long as this entity is, got the books and has the accounting and has real functionality versus just being, a hollow drum here, then that entity is literally on its own, even though it's wholly owned by Core Foundation. And that gives you all the ability to have the individuals who are going to donate money for this particular project still get the tax deduction for under the Core Foundation name, while the Core Foundation can work with it and, if necessary, create a management agreement or a sponsorship agreement to be able to take any fees it needs to take to service this particular project. So very quick, but just wanted to give people that. And Mary and Doug will be able to email that if somebody wants to look at this document in greater detail.
Joey, what's the administrative burden for managing these types of Model Ls?
We've
the
seen
foundation.
we've seen them go well, you said burden, I was going to say margin. So I'm going to use a different analogy, which is financially revenue, quote unquote, aspect of it, which can go anywhere between 1 to 10% of the proceeds that you would collect.
Okay, but I'm also concerned about, in other words, the burden on Mary or Tara or anyone internally to kind of oversight and just
so depending on the volume, and I had an estimate, we're thinking it might be really high based on what I got in the last email on the revenue and collection side. Then it is going to increase the volume probably by 40% on the accounting side. Okay. And we recommend it because, again, the whole concept of liability is a little bit multidimensional, and I don't necessarily want to get too far into the weeds. So one, creating it in a safe state that protects you is good. Having insurance is the second thing. Third thing is operating it as a separate entity gives you substance and form protection, which really protects you as an organization, saying, yes, this is wholly owned by us, but it really is on its own and operates and walks on its own. Okay. And that just gives you that extra layer of protection beyond just saying it's separate.
Okay. And maybe we should talk, maybe Mary, for the October meeting. I'm guessing they have their own bylaws and their own board.
Yep. Well, you don't necessarily have to have a board. You can have an advisory committee or we can talk about it. I mean, there's certain steps I'd like for you guys to take that just basically dot the I's and cross the T's.
Okay.
Joey, I have a question.
Yes.
If the Model L Core Cause defaults in invoices or bills, let's say that they take out a lease, and that's something that a lot of them are looking to do.
Yep.
Is Core Foundation on the hook for that, or does it dissolve somehow?
Perfect question. That's where number 5 comes in. What we have right here, and hopefully you guys can read it because I have a vertical screen. So it says vendors and all accounts payable contracts need to be signed with the Project Single Member LLC. Core Foundation should not take on any financial obligations. Okay. And the whole idea behind it is exactly that, to keep it separate from you, the sponsor, which is Core Foundation. Okay. So this entity will be the one that's going to be signing off on all obligations, which prevents backflow. Okay.
That's the right answer.
A very good question.
Thank you. Any other questions for Joey?
I really want to get into the taxes. This is exciting stuff, so I don't want to take too much of everybody's time, but let's go. If it's okay, I'm going to jump into the tax side of the equation. All right, so this is the 990 that we have. And for those of you that may or may not be familiar with the 990, think of this as the first page is sort of like the income statement up here with a very much summarized balance sheet at the bottom. And in the 990, you reflect both the revenue and the expenditures. And if you look at Core Foundation, 2020, the organization performed and received $322,000 versus 2019, which was 146. So that is quite impressive considering the year of 2020, that the organization actually grew almost double what it had, or more than double. And at the same time, what that did is it generated more assets to the organization. So when you look at net assets, that's the equivalent of equity in a corporation. And we grew from $41,000 to $100,000. So it's quite a growth for the organization. The program and expenses, program support expenditures, these are just, again, we have to break them up into detail. The questions and answers, they're really the same as in the previous year. There was nothing notable there that needed to be changed. But I wanted to fast forward to, let's see if we get to the part 8, which is a statement of revenue. And you'll see that our donations was one of the main growth cycles that we had, as well as obviously registrations that brought us up to the high revenue amount. And then on the functional expenses side, most of the expenses were straightforward. It's just we had $80,000 in grants. Officer salaries, salaries and wages remained pretty much the same, which is $66,000. The professional fees pretty much remained the same, and overall operating costs pretty much remained the same. Nothing dramatic. On the balance sheet side, you will notice that our investment portfolio really went up significantly. We now have a Vanguard account, and there's about $100,000 in that account, which is really impressive. And the cash position year over year from $67,000 to $154,000 for the organization. And then here at the bottom, you'll see again that the net assets went from $41,000 to $100,000. I'm going through this pretty quickly, so I'm going to pause a little bit and see if anybody has any questions.
That was excellent, Joey. I appreciate this, and we'll make. I think this has already been made available, but also keep in mind for the board members that, like that Vanguard, for example, we were very nervous about cash flow with the events we had, and we took advantage of the small business loan. And so that, for example, that $100,000, it's great we've got it there, but think of that as offsetting the 154 liability that you see down there. And what I'd like every board member to think about is in October, we're going to talk about, are we at a point, given the news that Joey's sharing with us today and what Tara and Mary have done, are we at a point where maybe we take some of that cash and prepay, right? That liability that's out there on the small business. So just keep in mind that that's a little bit of what we're seeing as well.
Yeah, well, before you go too far on that, also is remember the loan is amazingly great terms.
Sure.
Okay, the loan is, what is it, a 30-year loan at like 3.75% interest. So also please keep in mind of that. I mean, I normally don't, we're not advising any not-for-profit, Doug, to pay back anything until you're completely out of the woods.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
It does.
And you're doing the wise thing, which is you're putting the money to work, which hopefully will offset any interest. And therefore, keeping this money does not really have a quote unquote carrying cost for foundation. It is really a rainy day fund just in case. Okay. And we would look at that as being there until we're out of this pandemic situation. The economy has bounced back and is steady as she goes.
Excellent. Okay, thanks, Joe.
Okay. So that's the advice we're giving out to all of the not-for-profit organizations.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, those are really the major highlights. The rest of the stuff that we have on the 990 is really just, again, supporting information that we have to fill out. I didn't necessarily want to bore everybody with it, but we always meet the public support test. We're 99.9% publicly funded as an organization, which allows us to maintain our 501c3 status. The other stuff does not necessarily apply for us, but there's supplemental things we attach to the form. Shows who are our largest donors and who have been giving us contributions. So you can see that schedule. And then what we have here is the, again, more supplemental information that needs to be included that explains where our loans are, where they come from. The PPP money, by the way, is not, will be converted to tax free/forgiven loan, so we don't have to worry about that money. But the idle loan will be there, and you guys already heard my opinion on that one. So that's really the breakdown of the debt, the way it went through. Other than that, there isn't really anything to comment about.
Anything we should do differently that as we're going forward, Joey, in the way we manage this money?
No, I think you guys are doing the right thing, and I would just keep it the same.
Thank you, Joey. And for our new board members, Joey's been with us for 15 years. I know that for a fact that he did maybe 14, but again, I just want the newer members to understand that when this started 15 years ago, we couldn't have made it without professionals like Joey, in effect, almost giving us support the first few years. We didn't have any resources, and they put us in a position for success. And Joey, we're so grateful for that.
Well, we're also grateful for Core Foundation. You know, I'm a resident of Reston, so this is something near and dear to us. And there's nothing better than when I start seeing some of the individuals participating back in the day in the activities on weekends and things like that. So it's really nice. And Doug, Tara, everybody, Mary, I mean, you guys are really doing great work. And we do have this ability to look through a decade and a half lens, and Core Foundation is always taking on more and more and bigger responsibilities, and it really makes me very happy.
Thanks, Joey.
No, thank you all. Doug, unless you guys need something else, I think I am done, and I would like to go home.
Thanks, Joey. Appreciate it.
Hey, Joey, this is Ted. I have a really quick question.
Yes, Ted.
So do we know that the PPP loan will be forgiven, or are you just speculating that it will? Or
no, we have to fill out some paperwork and it'll be forgiven.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah, there's nothing. By the way, there were rumors about the idle loan being forgiven. Okay, that still may come out in the wash. So that would be an amazing surprise if we get that. But for the time being, yes, the PPP will be forgiven, especially ours is too small. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
We already do have confirmation that the round one has been forgiven. It's been.
There you go. Awesome.
All right, there you go. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, Joey.
Bye.
All right, I think Mary might be on mute. So Tom, I think you're up to talk about the liability insurance update. I know we touched on it a little bit, so I don't know if there's more you want to talk about or add here.
Yeah, you guys definitely have covered a significant portion of it. I don't want to bore everybody talking about insurance, but I did want to just briefly mention a couple things that to kind of explain how we got here a little bit from my end of the equation, the insurance end. Basically, you guys run a fantastic organization, and as Doug had mentioned previously, really raising funds for everything. The insurance carriers like to know what their risk is, and they're real comfortable with that. And so, as you guys started expanding, we actually had to change our policy when we brought on Helping Hungry Kids from one program of social services to another program. Then when we started adding on the desk stuff, you can imagine, in certain insurance carriers that will normally insure a carpentry business aren't necessarily also insuring organizations with kids that cater to youths in need of abuse and molestation coverage. So the policies don't all, you've got to the point where we couldn't find a one size fits all policy. And that starts resulting in declinations from insurance carriers, the non-renewal by the current carrier. And we've got till December to come up with some options, but going ahead with the Model A and the Model L has been fantastic from my perspective, to go out to the carriers and try to address that and be able to provide the appropriate coverage for each distinct type of cause and their unique needs. Again, some of your programs are going to need abuse and molestation coverage. Some are going to need professional liability coverage. That that can be handled differently now, rather than one umbrella policy that covers everything. That being said, even when we just have fundraisers, as I was calling up the underwriters and talking to them, I would probably say at least 80% of the underwriters that I spoke with all told me, Tom, we don't insure anything that's fun. That's their joke. They like to throw that out there, but it is kind of the truth. So as any cause that goes ahead and is operating, if all of a sudden they decide to do a sprint triathlon, like, that has to be, that's being insured separately through the USATA. Additionally, if there is a some sort of 5K run or something like that somebody would want to put on, you want to make sure that basically if anybody comes to you guys with an idea, say, hey, let's do this because we can make some money off this. You want to reach out to me, the insurance, and we can say, yes, that's going to be covered under the policy, or it may require a special event policy in some cases. Liquor, when alcoholic beverages are being served, that's another one where liquor liability starts becoming an issue. So, always err on the side of caution. There's ways to handle it. We want you guys to have fun, and that's obviously a great way to continue to raise money and get people interested in Core Foundation. But that's kind of just a general guideline to follow as far as to keep your antennas up for any sort of risk that you need to address.
Excellent. Thanks, Tom. Any questions for Tom?
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
When I said excellent, I saw Alexa pop up. So excellent. Well, I appreciate that. Oh, is there a question? And so, I know we've spent a lot of time on this, but understand that this is one of the value propositions we provide to our core causes. There's so many folks out there that they want to do good work, but they don't typically look into, are they covered for certain things? And so this has always been, the Model A has always been a real value proposition that, yes, we can get you supplemental coverage for the event, but you're also covered throughout the year on other things. And for you too, as board members, Tom has always made sure that our directors and officers insurance and all the insurance that covers you as volunteers on the board, that we're all covered. And so we want to really be diligent about this, protecting that value. But at the same time, allowing some of these new core causes to do the things that are impacting the lives of others. So really grateful, Tom, that you're keeping the eye on the ball here.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Unless there's any other questions, I'll probably also pop off. And
Thanks, Tom.
I hope though that everybody always feels free to reach out to me with any questions, concerns at your convenience. So
really appreciate that. And as for James, for new board members, our policy on this board is that as a member, you should feel very comfortable just reaching out to anyone. There's, to be able to get questions answered. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
And now we're going to talk to Susie, which, how many years have you been with us, Susie?
We're into our 7th year now. We just had the 6-year anniversary, so we're into our 7th year.
Fantastic. So for our newest board members, Susie and Mary work very closely together. Susie does our books each month. She closes the book. She works very closely with the CPA firm, Joey's firm, when we do taxes, and really ensures that we're recording things correctly and displaying things correctly. So now I'll turn it over, Susie, to you to talk about the financials for the first half.
Okay, so basically I wanted to just really quickly tell you our daily process and our monthly process. We do touch the books daily. We're on QuickBooks Online, and we're synced to every single bank account for every cause. So every day the transactions are brought in. So if anyone has any questions, they can reach out to me, to Mary, to Tara, and we have an answer for them right away. And I think it's important to mention that as we grow, that's going to be even more important. We don't want to get overwhelmed and tell people, I'm sorry, I have to get back to you and take a couple days. We want to have real-time information for everyone. And so with that being said, the three of us, Mary, Tara, and I, get together once a month after I've closed the books, and we go over everything pretty much line by line to make sure there's nothing that we want to move around or that needs to be recoded, so that we make sure that we do have accurate answers for everyone. I am going to be reaching out and having a meeting with Joey to make sure that as we move into the Model L phase, we are tracking everything appropriately, whether that means we need to have separate QuickBooks Online accounts for these new causes, or we can envelop it under what we already have. That remains to be seen, but I want to sit down with him and really talk it through so that we can start out on the right foot and don't have to make any adjustments after we're a few months in. I think everyone probably already has the financials in front of them. I know we only have a couple more minutes. I just want to touch on a couple things, and then I want to encourage everyone to reach out to me individually if you have any questions. And pretty much January through June 2021 compared to January to June 2020, we've more than doubled our donations, which is fantastic. Joey touched on the fact that we had a great year in 2020. We're on track to do that again, even more so for 2021. Registrations are down a bit for the first part of the year, but Tara and Mary can speak to this. I'm pretty sure that that's going to be increasing as we go over the next couple of weeks. Again, as Joey mentioned, our expenses are pretty much staying the same. We haven't had any dramatic increases. We are on track for our charitable contributions going out, almost identical to this time last year, which I'm really happy about. The PPP funding you'll see on the P&L is classified as other income. When we gained our first round of the funding, which was 6920, it goes into a liability account, just basically a holding account. And Mary submitted all the paperwork. It was forgiven 100%. So basically for reporting purposes, you have to put it into an other income account on your P&L. But as Joey mentioned, they'll take care of that. It's non-reportable income when we come to filing. We do have round 2 funding, which hit this year, that you will see on the balance sheet for just over $13,000. And that is also, as he said, going to be forgiven. I was talking to Mary and Tara the other day. I would be surprised if they make us even go through the forgiveness process like they did with round 1, because they've changed things so much so quickly. And they're basically, I mean, they're forgiving anything under $150,000. They're forgiving. I think the reporting is going to be even quicker for round 2 for Mary. And so that's good news for Mary. Basically, looking at this from the 2021 to 2020 comparison on the balance sheet, there are a lot of blank lines on 2020, which shows that we did not have these causes at this time last year. We have added on so many new causes, and that's very exciting to see. I think when I started with you, Doug, and Mary, we had 3 or 4 that we were working with.
Right.
We have increased so much, and it's exciting, very exciting to see. But I think that I'll just go ahead and let anyone email me any questions that you have. But I think that it's important to note that when Tara and Mary and I are meeting every month, it's really important that we're going through everything line by line so that we are completely 100% transparent. And that's a good feeling.
Thank you, Susie. Thanks for all
Susie,
your
this
work.
this is Gina. Susie, thank you for that. When did you get notice that you're going to the loan is forgiven? Because I was asking that before. Is that something you found out recently? The PPP loan?
For the
forgiveness?
first round funding?
Yeah.
We found that out. Yeah, I think Mary and I received the confirmation about 3-4 weeks ago, probably.
Yeah, because remember, Mary, you and I were saying, I had a feeling it had to be forgiven, but I know like the language wasn't clear. So, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, it takes, once the paperwork is submitted, it can take the
Mhm.
banks up to 60 days to get you an answer. And that's
Okay.
almost spot on when we got our answer.
That's great. Okay, that's good.
And as far as the round 2 goes, when we applied for that, we had to pretty much prove at that time that it would be forgivable. We had to submit different financial statements that proved the criteria that they were looking for.
Okay.
So we don't expect that to be a problem either. Susie, I wanted to say thank you very much, and also let the board know that you've been so kind to agree to take on a larger role as we continue to grow. And Susie's going to start taking the task of invoicing, doing the quarterly invoices for the core causes, and having greater touch points with the core causes, and allowing them to reach out to her with any questions. So we really appreciate that, and we look forward to your expanded role on our team.
I look forward to it as well.
By the way,
Exactly.
happy belated birthday. Was it yesterday?
It was. Thank you.
Oh, happy birthday. And for board members too, I've asked Susie and Mary and Ted to kind of start to take a look at making sure that the things we're doing are scalable, right? In other words, whether it's accounts receivable, just, you heard me ask Joey about the administrative effort. So we've got this working group that is going to start looking at, are there ways to automate some of this stuff and take some of the burden, the manual burden off. If any director would like to join up for this ad hoc committee that will have a kind of an end date at the end of the year, to be in on those discussions of looking at the financial processes that Mary and Susie do and identify ways to automate some of that, or at least make what we're doing a scalable as we bring on not just 15 more core causes, but we bring on 30 more core causes. Would be happy for you to lean in on that. So just let Ted, are you okay kind of as the treasurer? Okay, great. Just let Ted know if you're willing to sit on that. I'll participate. I know Mary and Susie will be on that. But if there's other board members that would like a short-term project to support us on, we certainly wouldn't turn you down. Anything else? I said I'd give you a hard stop at 2 minutes. So I'm going to look in the chat, look for facial
Doug?
expressions. Yep.
I would expect you to say this is the first time we have ever filed the years 990 before the last minute midnight November 15th.
Good point, Mary. So let's give Mary a big and the whole
Susie.
financial team there. Ted played a part in Joey and Susie.
And Joey.
But some anecdotal in the 45 seconds I got is that every year the IRS sends me a notice, not quite monthly, but as I slowly open it, it's always your request for an extension has been approved. So Joey's firm always just automatically puts in our extensions. And this year, for a variety of reasons, right? We wanted everyone to have time to look things over. When you file a day or two before the deadline, it's hard for everyone to really look through a tax return and say, well, shouldn't this be here or there because the deadline's the next day. So Mary, really hats off to taking that challenge of having us file now in July. So congratulations there.
So, and I did fail to send it around, so I will send it around tomorrow.
Well, I appreciate that. So with that, I've got 8:14 on my Microsoft clock. Thank you, everybody. Before I take a vote to close the meeting, I really do hope that that everyone can make the gala. So please put that on your calendar. Our next board meeting is October 18th. You already should have it on your calendar. Check and see. If you don't, please do that. I think we're going to continue to do it virtual for a variety of reasons. It allows folks like Susie, who lives on the West Coast, and Joey, who probably couldn't come to an in-person, and some of these other folks to join. I think there's real value to that. That being said, you'll be on the lookout. I would like the board to get together in person at some point, just for the value of that in-person connection. So be on the lookout for some suggested dates so that we can all get together in a non-meeting fashion to meet up sometime in Q3 or Q4. So with that, do I have a motion to close the meeting? Brett, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thanks, Gina. All in favor of closing this meeting out? Thanks all for your participation on a Monday night. I really appreciate it. Mary, thanks for all the work of and Tara for putting the agenda together and all the content, and for everybody who presented tonight. Just a terrific job. See everybody soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thanks.
you.